Wonderful. Okay, so let's get started. So welcome everyone to this second webinar of May is MIDI Month, run by the MIDI Association. May is MIDI Month is 1 month of raising awareness and raising funds as well by the MIDI Association, which is a non-profit. And part of the reason why the MIDI Association is raising funds is to create educational material. And this year, the MIDI Association has commissioned SAE Mexico to write materials to help people learn MIDI 2.0, especially developers and end users eventually. And these will be available on Coursera in English and Spanish. So we have a lot of sponsors who've participated to this and are supporting this event. So back to the MIDI Innovation Awards, which is now in its fourth edition. You were the winners of the third one. Starting from my screen, I can see at the top left, I can see Andrea. Andrea is the winner in the hardware prototype category with HITar. So over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what's the HITar? Just a quick overview of the HITar.
Of course, thank you, JB. Yeah, the HITar is a guitar that lets you control digital sounds and effects from the physical interface of the guitar's body. It uses AI to be as nuanced and as rich as you would expect a physical interface to be like. And it's born out of the desire of percussive guitarists to sound a lot louder and a lot more flamboyant than they already are. But it's becoming an instrument in and of itself. It's coming into its own as an instrument that is a lot more versatile. And it's been a roller coaster since the MIDI Awards win. It's been so great.
Yeah, you have done you've benefited from all of the prizes available. You came to Sheffield first at Synthfest in the UK. Then you went to Shanghai to present your work and a lot of meetings there. And then you came to LA for the NAMM show. So that's quite a tour of the world, as it were, to present your work. So congratulations. And I can't wait to hear how things are unfolding for you. Our next winner is Bruno, on my screen anyway. That's the order I'm using. Bruno, you won the commercial hardware for your company Intruitive Instrument, and the instrument is called Exquis. Would you introduce you and the company and the product?
Yeah, okay, so we are Intuitive Instrument. So this is Exquis. So basically, it's a controller that is based on a patented hexagonal isomorphic keyboard. And the biggest innovation also we had and that was introduced in the MIDI Innovation Awards was that the Exquis is compatible with MPE. So it's a very expressive controller. So you can bend each of the keys up, down, left, right, and you also have the pressure, as you can see, the lights, and all the keys are absolutely independent in their expressiveness. And yeah, that's it. So the Exquis is a very intuitive and very expressive controller. So it's MIDI based, so you can control any software you already have, any synthesizer. It also has MIDI output, so you can control a hardware synthesizer, and you also have CD output, so you can also control a modular synthesizer. And but you can also use our app, which is like the best companion of the Exquis, that follows the path of the lights here, the buttons, and that allows you to create a full song in a very easy and very intuitive way, just by choosing a sound, making a loops, record the loops, and then play with your loops and so on. So the idea is that it's the evolution of this little boy here that is called the Dual Audio Touch, and we wanted to make something that is a real electronic instrument.
Great, and you also came to LA to present it next to Andrea, and to the UK as well. So, by the way, today we have two Italian people, two French people. This is a rare representation of the industry. The two Frenchmen being, no, actually, Andrea and myself being in the UK, Bruno in France, and Emanuele in Italy. That's rare, especially since the Media Association is hosted in America. We have mostly Americans usually. So, yeah, hooray, Europe. So, Lele, last but not least, we have you as a winner with Camelot Pro for the software, the commercial software category. So, can you tell us a bit more about the intention of this software, what it does, and about yourself and the company, Audio Modeling?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Emanuele Parravicini. I'm the CTO at Audio Modeling. Audio Modeling is a company that started with physical modeled instruments, so plugins that emulates acoustic instruments, but using physical modeling instead of sampling. But also, we started making Camelot Pro, that is a software for managing the live performance, basically. It's available on all platforms, so iOS, Windows, and Mac OS, and allows you to connect several digital instruments, both MIDI, audio. You can attach music scores, for example, or lyrics. You can run backing tracks and automate your show. So while you are playing, Camelot allows you to switch sounds or change the page of the music score, for example. Or through MIDI, you can control any MIDI device or lighting system, for example.
Okay, I see. Well, thank you for the overview. So the format, by the way, for this conversation today is that we're going to have a few questions for you, but feel free to interject. If you are following us, there's a chat. You can also ask us questions, and I'll relay them to our panelists here. And I want to start with you, Lele. What Camelot Pro is taking all of the complexity of the show or the studio and making it a hub where all the MIDI can transition and reach its destination. And you know, you can imagine like 30 years ago it was all cables, but now it's all virtual routing. With MIDI 2.0 is are you excited about what it means, or are you scared? Or what are the challenges and the innovation that needs to happen from your perspective?
Yeah, we are excited about MIDI 2.0. Let me say that we predicted some use case of MIDI 2.0 because in Camelot, since it was born, we build these smart maps. We call them smart maps. Basically, we for many devices, we studied the CSX communication, so we are able to read the patch list. We are able to change hardware parameters from Camelot, all in the same unified interface. So even if you are using a Yamaha or a Roland device or a Korg device, for example, but you have exactly the same user experience. So the interface allows you to learn one and then manage multiple different instruments. MIDI 2.0 with the CI, so the capability of inquiring info from the devices, basically is the same concept. Let me say is we have anticipated a bit the paradigm.
So what happens now? Sorry, go on. There was a bit of a delay here.
This will be introduced in Camelot Pro MIDI 2.0 with CI communication as well. Yes.
So at the moment, Camelot Pro recognizes a device and it knows it, so it knows what to expect. But with MIDI 2.0, you'll be able to send a request like, tell me what you are, and they can
Exactly.
return a profile. Yeah. Okay. Bruno, is the Exquis ready with this profile and capability inquiries? Is it something that's on your radar to build and add to the Exquis?
Yeah, I mean, not MIDI 2.0 just as right now, because I mean, as a small company, we're still progressing on other aspects. But as Lele said, this is something we had already in mind in the use case. For example, the next firmware update of the Exquis, or if it's not this one, that would be the next after, will expose all everything that you want to control of the Exquis through MIDI SizeX. So it's exactly the same. So we at first we said, okay, we're going to make them like just CCs, regular CCs, but on some cases it's not the right way to control the device. You want to be sure that this is the right device, and also because the Exquis is MPE, you know that MPE is using all the MIDI channel of one MIDI interface. So things gets more complicated. So we decided that we will make everything as a SizeX. And so in the future update, you will be able to change from one preset to another preset in the memory of the Exquis, that you will do with using buttons and combinations of buttons. But we believe you should do that through just a sequencer, just sending one MIDI message or things like this. So we really think about Exquis has to be his own profile. For example, we have lights under the keys, and that's something that is different compared to many other regular piano keyboard controller which doesn't have lights under the keys. So that gives to the user some possibilities, and we want the user to be able to explore them. And so we need that the Exquis expose what you can control inside. And on the other way, it's exactly the same side. If we have a system that allows the Exquis to say, hey, I have 4 knobs, what are the parameters that I should prioritize to set to plug to that synthesizer, for example? That would make things a lot easier, and that means that the user will have a more intuitive way to connect everything without knowing all the technical aspect under this, because like knowing all the SizeX command of each hardware, it's not like what I would say it's intuitive.
This is mostly for developers that you planning this, Bruno, or are your end users interested in controlling the Exquis with and customize the experience?
Yeah. This is one of the things we discovered since the NAMM show, for example, when we released the Exquis, and thanks to the MIDI Innovation Award, we has like this lights on our company and our hardware. We understood that people have ideas and they want to, I would say, implement them. So the first things we had, like in the first 2 or 3 weeks, was, I would say, like 20 people saying, hey, I want to control the lights. Let me choose how I want to control the light. Give me the keys and I want to do whatever I want. So but there are many things, like if you are a teacher, or if you're just a single user that wants to learn how to play a solo on the Exquis, we can see the scale. But if there is a modulation inside the song, then you want the scale to move. So it's very easy if you have a sequencer and you have a backtrack playing that the backtrack says it move to that specific scale, and that's it. and then you just follow the lights, and it's very easy to learn how to play. So we already knew that this kind of use cases will appear. What we are a bit surprised is how fast the people said we want this. So I can say that we anticipate the things, but what we didn't anticipate is how fast people will ask for it. So I
This
believe
is great.
in MIDI 2.0. I mean, I would say end user are ready for MIDI 2.0. If the manufacturer and everybody's just spread the thing, implement it in the right way, I believe the end user wants to have more control of everything, and they want to make strange patches, but many times they don't do it just because it's too hard and they are not developers. So when I say that just get max MSP and make a patch and then you're in, then I'm losing like 9 on 10 of the user that are asking the features. They just want something very simple with just a few buttons, and that's it.
Right. Well, I see Andrea nodding and agreeing or having. I'm sure he has an opinion on what has been just discussed here. Andrea, what do you think?
No, I think, I mean, definitely, I was nodding along to the fact that, especially Max MSP, I love it, and some of the parts of the HITar prototyping were done on Max MSP, but it's definitely not exactly the sort of environment that would be a requirement for like a seamless use of technology in in a situation for people who may not want to be literate in computer science or in all the aspects on computer science. There's a very steep learning curve, and if MIDI 2.0 gets rid of that or gets rid of most of that, that's an incredible win.
Right.
And then yes, sorry, carry on.
No, please finish the thought.
No, I mean, I was thinking about, I was thinking about how the HITar gets into the mix, and the HITar is not a MIDI 2.0 instrument yet, but what's naturally the side of MIDI 2.0 that complements the HITar is MPE. So the fact that it's got resolution and articulation for every note that you play, and that has been a limit on MIDI for a long time. But as you dig a little bit deeper into software instruments, you'll see that velocity curves and things like that, I think they have been a limit of even electronic drums themselves for a pretty long time. People, when they buy an electronic drum kit, they spend a lot of time getting the curves right, and sometimes part of that feel or lack thereof sometimes when that happens is that sort of relationship between the what you do on the drum and the sound that comes out and how that maps to the samples is always ever so slightly lacking. And so having more resolution and more dimensions, more way to express that and to map that is ever so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a note from Adhan in the chat here about the benefits of MIDI 2.0 in standardizing this, because of course with every manufacturer defining how their own sys messages operates, then you have to know how things work. But if you have a format and a standardized way for communication, it obviously accelerates things, because you control the Exquis in the same way that you can control a Lumi or another similar MP controller. So yeah, there's some hard challenges that are going to be solved. And staying with Andrea and staying with the innovation and looking at the future, I suppose. Andrea, I think you were one of the finalists and winners who use AI in your solution, and not only AI software, but also directly embedded into a hardware, which that represents a lot of challenges. In fact, I think, well, you won in a prototype category, so you don't have yet the full scalable solution. And I'm very curious to hear from you. What do you see in the next 6 months to a year? How would you see those challenges that you worked on for the past few years? and what innovation can this bring as well for hardware equipment in particular?
I mean, hopefully, I think probably 6 months to a year is not going to be enough for the industry, especially the musical instrument, the musical industry, to catch up to the point of having AI in every device or a neural processing unit in every device. But great strides are being done, and I'm so happy to see them done. I wonder if the problem that we have, the biggest problem that we have at the moment is just the fact of running those on hardware. It's definitely one of the limits that we have, just because they tend to be they tend to require very specialized hardware. But now the hardware is actually being deployed as we speak onto laptops. So like all laptops very soon will have a neural processing unit, and that's such great news. We don't require NVIDIA RTX 3090s or 4090s to run our models. But also, I think embedding them into a system that is 2 or 3 watts in power consumption and can be incorporated into any sort of instrument and will be incorporated everywhere. We're there, but that's the next step after that. I think the challenges are still there, mostly as always, it's really the knowledge that needs to be spread even more and better than the hardware. So the tools are still a little bit clunky. We're still in the middle of this Copernican revolution of DSP engineers and programmers having to learn AI and how to incorporate AI in their workflow. We're nearly there, but that is step 1. And then step 2 is the hardware, providing the right hardware to all those people, so that the prototypes and the initial big expensive bits of hardware can then be miniaturized and deployed at scale.
Yeah, well, that's super interesting. I can't wait to see how other hardware manufacturers embrace some of the possibilities of AI to deal with perhaps idiosyncratic movement, people with disabilities, for example, who can't play, where AI could help guess the intention and then approximate it, and all of that in real time is going to be a challenge, of course. Well, going to Lele now, and staying with AI, what does it inspire you? I mean, it's something that you feel is going to solve some of the problems that Camelot solved, and is it going to help you? Have you started looking at it?
Yeah, we have started looking at it. We are working on a prototype, basically for helping the setup, not during the live performance, but the setup. For example, you can use something like Moses, to separate the stems and have your backing tracks ready. And not only it also detects the section of the song. So in Camelot we can create scenes from the section of the song, and also lyrics from the vocals. So you already have your lyrics ready and synchronized with the backing tracks. So why you basically create 99% of your scene. You just need maybe to decide the sound of your keyboard or the effects of your guitar. But in this way, you can really make a set list in a few minutes, basically. So this is one of our idea. And we are exploring AI, not for Camelot, but for Swarm. So with AI to help the fine-tuning of our physical model instruments.
Can
Training.
you tell us more about this? Yeah. Can you tell us more
training
about
the
this?
AI with real samples and extracting feature that helps to fine-tune the parameters of the physical models.
Right. I mean, audio modeling is known for the quality of its software instruments, the violin, the viola, the clarinet, saxophone, which look incredibly like the original. Um, so, uh, what is it that AI can help you with there? Is it going to sound even better, or is it what are the benefits for the end user that you're looking to
And
achieve?
the, let's say the secret of Swam is that allows you to use your expressivity to play instead of reproducing a sample that already includes the expression, the original expression of the original musician. What we can do, as I said, we can even improve the models, so the behavior of the model when the user try to express itself. So to match the expression of the user with the result that we want to obtain, and also to improve or predict what the user is going to play. So the model adapt to the playing style of the user.
That's great. That's really cool. Well, I look forward to seeing what comes out of that. I think the three of you have won, and I've shared some time in NAM. I've met you guys stayed in touch, and I think Bruno, did you use audio modeling instruments for the demos of Exquis or for? So, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, there was a very nice meeting with audio modeling, because definitely the SWAM give all expose all the parameters that are great to control with the Exquis in a very intuitive way, I would say. So of course, there are some playing style that we wish we can have better access, or but this is our thought, our wish. As of to now, we already have something that is really great, and we use the SWAM in every of our demos, like at the NAM. We'll be at the Super booth next week, and of course we'll have the SWAM on the computer we are using to demonstrate. At the end, as Lele said, the thing is that if you have a hardware that allows you to express something that is very intuitive, that really what you have at the end of your fingers, and then you need the synthesizer that reflects that. It's like it's a loop back, that you want something, and then you hear something, and if you hear what you expected to hear, then you're fine and you just play. And this is what we were able to achieve very quickly with the SWAM. That's why we're using, and I hope we will have more partnership in the coming months to be able to give to more of our users the power of the SWAM, so they can have this expressivity under their finger very fast.
Well, this is great to hear, and one of the goal of the MIDI Innovation Awards is to help independent developers, inventors, innovators to succeed. And one of the thing that we hope will help is building a community and belonging to a community of people and helping each other and complementing. So it's great to know for us that that's working, and hopefully it will inspire a lot more participants to enter the MIDI Innovation Awards. We've pushed back, by the way, the deadline to the 18th of June. So if you have a new product, you have a bit more time. You have another 5 weeks to enter in the next edition of the MIDI Innovation Awards. All right, so what are we going to talk about now? Well, AI, actually. Let's just to close on AI. Bruno, you're in a more traditional, perhaps, albeit very innovative, but segment. Hardware is hard to include software in it in a lot of different ways because of processing power. You can't add a very powerful chip on a keyboard controller or a hardware controller. What are your thoughts around AI? Is it something you've considered?
I used to use, and to study AI a long time ago. In my previous lives, I was a researcher at IRCAM, and I did a lot of AI before the trends of, like the AI was so prominent. So, as of to now, we don't have dig into AI, even if I have many ideas of how AI can help our user to achieve their goal, their creative goal. And but there is a balance for me, and I won't go into some details because it's something that is still far away from our today's concern. But still, at the end, I'm looking at the two ways: the way of AI and the way of doing simple things with very simple logic that didn't solve 99% of the use cases, but maybe just like 60% at a cost that is hundreds, thousands of times less than the cost of using AI for just a simple task or a simple help. So yeah, just to give you a rough idea, we are thinking about AI to help people making rhythm, for example. But at the same time, we are talking with researchers that don't use AI to symbolize rhythm and to make things a little herper than just like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and then where you put your snare and your drums, to have like symbolization of patterns and how you use them and how you can combine them, just giving them a percentage of if this one will works well with the other one, giving a few conditions, a few constraints. And it seems like in a certain way it proved its efficiency in many cases, not using a bazooka as AI that for sure will solve maybe all the problems, but at a cost that is, like as I said, a lot, definitely a lot more. So yeah, I'm still balancing the two things, and as of to now, I would say I'm frugal, and I'm trying to see if we can do very smart things without AI.
Good. Yes, I think we don't have to throw AI at every problem, but it's kind of hard to avoid these days. And it's a prism by which everybody sees innovation. So, but yeah, so some areas will resist it, I think, and that's maybe for the best. So you all have very different and unique careers, and I think that's representative of people in the music industry. And I'd love to dive a little bit more into that, just for people who might be watching and be feeling like they have a fantastic innovative product in their head and maybe they don't know where to start. So I'd love to get a little bit of your trajectories, starting with you, Lele, and like how you came here and what advice you would give to someone with a fantastic innovative idea of a music instrument or a software or hardware, and then what are the problems that you solved along the way, and up to where you are now. What advice do you have for them?
First of all, we try to we try to see some how to say something that is missing, but it's hard to understand that it is missing because we are used to we are used to certain patterns. So, for example, when we started with Camelot, we have been told, yes, but in the 80s we already had MIDI patches, for example, or program changes to control hardware. Yes, but also the user experience is important. So the user experience is in an innovation itself. If you use things that already exist and you are able to make an experience that it's really easy for the user, really intuitive, really simple to use. So Camelot started from that, from the needs of the live performer, and trying to unify all the different needs. When we started and you used our PowerPoint presentation, we had this first photo of a stage with 3 keyboards, a book with music scores, different pedals, a lot of cables, microphone, and so on. So how we can help the musician to unify all these and make it very simple? That was the starting point for Camelot. And so my advice is try to look at the reality and what is really what struggle musicians or other fields, not necessarily music, and try to make a simple solution that is simple for the user. Maybe it's complex to implement, but this is my advice.
Yeah, this is a great advice to understand the problem, identify the problem, and find a solution. I think we see a lot of innovation that might not be solving any real world problem, and sometimes it's or maybe it's not the right time because it's too early. We see some of those, of course. So it's a great advice. Get a first user. And then make sure that your solution as you build it is aligned with that. And Andrea, I mean, of course, you're still in the prototype phase, but you have a lot of experience, and you've been an engineer working for Blackstar. You've just finished your PhD. So, to the youngest Andrea, and to anybody else, what have you learned so far that you'd like to share?
I'm not sure I can share a lesson, but I can see a theme, a topic that's been bounced around, and I guess the way that was it manifested onto me is like the problem of the niche. In many cases, possibly in all cases, if you have someone with a great idea who's maybe who starts as a musician and then approaches the technicality of implementing that idea later on, or the other way around. They're actually really good at being an engineer, but they also have a hobby as a musician. But then they start approaching musicians. A thing that a problem, an issue, a topic that appears quite a lot is, but that's just too niche. That's just that's just you. So I think that it's important to strike the right balance between being a bit unapologetic by what drives you and what drives the idea that you had, and also making it so that it can expand to someone else, and so that you can convey it to someone else and get them sold onto the original project that you had in your bedroom. And that's the balancing act starts with something that sounds a lot like what Leila was saying. So try and find a simple solution to a problem that to a problem that is general enough. But then you need to generalize your problem, and if it's not too general, don't be scared by the people telling you, oh yeah, by the people dismissing the idea, because I think the first time anyone saw Robert Moog's synthesizer, that was a beast that was incredibly difficult to maintain, had loads of problems, and probably unless it was in the hands of someone really, really expert who understood electronics, it also sounded a bit crap, because if you get one single oscillator with no effects, usually it doesn't sound great. So it takes at the start, it always takes a little bit of imagination to get the point across. But it's a matter of resilience, and also being not being scared about your idea, and not being scared into submission by someone who's dismisses your idea initially.
Yeah, I really like this, and our industry is so small. If you compare it to healthcare, automobile, or general e-commerce, Amazon, and as such, it's very difficult to attract investment. So most of the companies that are successful today, they've taken the long road and convinced one customer after the other. And innovation in that context is hard, because you innovate, it's expensive. You take time away from making the product that your clients love, and you're trying to leapfrog the next challenge and look 5-10 years in the future. But it's a difficult industry to do it, because you might build something that the musicians are not ready for. They're not ready to ditch 20 years of practice of the piano or the guitar to adopt something new. Investors don't believe that there's a market big enough. So there's a lot of things to overcome, and I think some of that, Andrea, speaks to that. I think feeling that, being proud of the project that you're working on, being resilient about keeping the work going, I think is it's a very important point. Bruno, you've been at this for a long time, Bruno, because before the Exquis you had the Dualo, and so yeah, you have a lot of learning in there, and making hardware as well has been challenge. There's many challenges, production, etc. So, what is your take on this? What advice do you have, and what in your
I
experience can be
definitely,
helpful?
yeah, I definitely agree with Andrea. I think the first word would be resilience. Dualo was something that was too early on the market in a certain way. I mean, there were pros and cons on this hardware, but it was a bit too new in the use case we wanted to push it, and so people didn't really understood what it was made for, and maybe like the shape of the which would look like an accordion was not the right choice. So it took a long time to find the resources to move away from this first shot, I would say. So yeah, my advice for people who are starting project in their bedroom is, first of all, don't be shy in talking about your project to all the people you meet, and find the right people who you would like to talk about your project. Like I remember at the beginning of the Dualo, I spent hours speaking with people in music shop, like sellers, and I understood that the point of view of the guy who you are talking with in the shop maybe is not exactly the same point of view that the guy that is in the office of the shop and is buying the hardware that the seller will sell then in the shop. So yeah, I mean, this is the first thing. Talk about your project. Don't be shy in listen to all the feedbacks people will give you. Sometimes it hurts, but if it hurts, that means that there are something to learn about this. Yeah, because if it hurts you, then it means that there is a pain point somewhere, and you have to understand why. Why? Because if the project is just so great, then it shouldn't hurt to hear people say, "Hey, look, it looks like an accordion." Like voilà. So this is my first advices, and then for the electronic and hardware part, I would say use the power of software to virtualize as much as you can, because it costs very less, and only use hardware when it's only necessary. Like and I can tell you, like for the Exquis, because it costs a lot to make PCBs and electronic and so on. The first prototype we had was only 9, what we call the flower. So it was just a flower of 9 keys, and we did a lot of things with just 9 keys, and the prototype was not very costly, I would say. So because it was very small and there is absolutely no intelligence, but so we had the opportunity to make many prototypes, I would say, and to try many shapes of many things, and yeah, and use the power of 3D printings to help you to do a lot of things. And I mean, yeah, I mean, today it's definitely easier than ever to try your ideas. And if you have the resilience, and if you do like Emanuele said, like try to be right to the point, only solve simple problem, because if you want to solve like I want that everybody live in peace in all the world, that's fine, but it's gonna hard to achieve just by yourself.
Yeah, it's a great goal. However, we have a question from HK on the chat. Very interesting question. I think that Andrea, you might be interested in. So the question is: any experience approaching major companies like Yamaha, Roland, to create partnerships? And these partnerships could be, I suppose, for manufacturing, development, commercial, integration, etc. So, Andrea, do you want to start with this, and Lily actually also after you can talk to your partnership with Yamaha.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd love to hear all the other perspectives, because it's curious also that we're going straight for the Yamahas and Rolands of this world, because I've got loads to tell, but remarkably little about about the super big giant companies. I have this the hunch that I have is that talking to large companies may be the most fruitful as an exit strategy. So when you already have an established company, and maybe your endpoint would be to be acquired, then that could probably make sense for it to be to involve a large company, because large companies that have got a lot more cash to to be a part of something like this. In terms of partnerships, what I found the most effective is actually quite the other way around. So the underdogs who would be interested in the technology that would give them a competitive edge. And that's worked in some cases for me. I don't want to throw names left, right, and center, but the most fruitful conversations that I had on the show floor were with small to mid-sized companies. Also, I think the other element there is that they are more available. Usually, you just meet the CEO of the company right there on the show floor. It's so much easier to network with those companies. You can start speaking to the people with a checkbook immediately. So you have a fast turnover on their feel for the product, how you can probably work out a business model that involves both of them over a pint of beer after the show. You would never be able to do that with Rolands or Yamahas. So I think that's still with the mentality and the frame of mind of just starting out with something, and you don't want to set up your own operations. I would say probably start with someone who's gone a few steps ahead of you, but then the partnership is so much more meaningful.
Yeah, the balance of power is not completely disproportionate, and as Athen is pointing in the chat as well, to have a conversation with Roland or Yamaha, you must have a patent on your technology. Otherwise, the risks are that they, after the meeting, they go away and figure out how much time it takes, and they can do it themselves, and so that'd be a loss. Lily, what's been your experience working with kind of these gigantic brands?
Yeah, let me say firstly that I think it's important to make relations, business relation. Try to speak also with the big players in the market, to not be scared of that. Of course, you need to have some to say delicatesse. But I have to say we were lucky. We were introduced to big companies by artists that starting using our software. For example, I remember Jordan Rudess. I met Adam when Camelot was just a baby. And we started to have this fruitful relationship, a business relationship that not necessarily the aim was not necessarily to have funding or to be acquired or to develop the product. But we worked very well together. They hosted us several times. For example, I remember at the Super Booth, also at the NAMM show, we had some session with them. We worked together with the smart maps, with our smart maps. So we are lucky to have the possibility to map the instruments before it gets released. So are just maybe small advantages, not necessarily, as I said, big cash or something like that, but that can help the product or the idea you have to be developed.
Right. And Bruno, do you have any experience working with or collaborating or with this kind of
Yeah, I
companies
mean,
for
we've
production, maybe?
we've been approached by some of the bigs, but I would say, as Andrea said, like, it's better when you have something that is already established, because these big companies usually they don't buy ideas, they buy business that are already running and that make cash, and they have big pockets to buy this cash machine. But if you don't have a cash machine, then I don't think, I mean, I don't have a big experience, but I would say it's not the right way to think about it. Just find your way, or if you really want to be to enter big companies, then use your ID to be hired like part of their team. But be aware of that they will maybe hire you because you had an ID, but they are not hiring you to make the ID. They already have IDs, they have plans, they need smart people to execute their plans. But like, you remember the Tenorion, the Yamaha Tenorion? Like, the story of the Tenorion is just like an accident. I've met a long time ago. I've met people at Yamaha, and they said that should never happen, and it will never happen anymore. Like one guy inside Yamaha with an idea that finally became a product. It's an accident in Yamaha story. As far as I know the story, I mean, maybe people here like Athan knows it better, but yeah, I mean, I don't think like big companies are the things that you have to consider. And I would do like Andrea said, like find smaller companies that are a few step ahead you, but needs you, and try to find the right partnership to accelerate on what you're thinking that can be a win-win with the company you're trying to. But that's also a plan, like to find the 5 or 10 companies that should uh, be interested by what you're thinking, by your ideas, and then try to find them. But the thing is that if it's just an idea, then they can take it. If you have a patent, that's better. And if you have something like that is more close to a prototype, then it can be interesting, or it can be not, because maybe they have other process, manufacturing process, and they don't want your prototype. So yeah, I mean, I think each project is really different, but don't think I won't think about the big companies.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for your for answering this question. I think we've learned a lot there. So we're getting close to the hour. So it's been a very enjoyable conversation. Adam reminds us in the chat that Music China is going to help the winners of the MIDI Innovation Awards connect with manufacturing companies in China, and that's a big one. If you make hardware, scale happens with a factory somewhere, and chances are that you're in a country where manufacturing is expensive. I mean, China is still the cheapest in the world for this, and they do different scales. They do everything. I mean, Shenzhen is well known for the diversity and variety of production facilities they have, from very small run to larger one. And that's another challenge if you make a hardware product, understanding that manufacturing, the cost of it, and all the more a reason for an innovator to feel like, oh, all of this is too complicated. I'm going to build a prototype, and I'm going to meet with these guys. They're better placed, they have a market already, and I might sell them my idea. And that very rarely happens, however. And I think that's if you want to invent a product, I mean, you have to want to go all the way. That's my unsolicited advice to everyone. Well, it's been a real pleasure. Let's invite, if he wants to, Avan, who's been in the shadows and answering, to join here if he wants to, and say a word. Avan was the president of the Media Association until the past election, where he passed the baton to Tim Carroll, who was the CEO of the Focusrite Group. Yeah, Athan is now a presenter and is a chief operating officer of the MIDI Association, and has a hand in all of this madness. That is the Maze MIDI Months. Welcome, Athan.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? I didn't do a mic
Yes.
check.
No,
Great.
all good. Just that it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So, regarding the Tenorian, the Tenorian is a very interesting story. I actually was involved with the release of the Tenorian and went on the tour with Toshi Iwai when it was first introduced with a whole group of. There was a worldwide tour that with Robert Lippock and Safety Scissors and I Am Robot. It was a really interesting thing. You are right. That was a complete anomaly. And one of the reasons it happened is Toshio Iwai was very famous in Japan as a kind of performance artist, and was good friends with a couple of very high level Yamaha artists. And that was kind of his introduction to Yamaha. But it was a very unique thing because it was so different. And Yamaha has a tendency to do that. They're a very conservative company that goes by the rules, and then all of a sudden they do something that is so like out of the blue. Anybody remember the Miburi? The Miburi was a MIDI controller from way back, probably in the late 90s. It was a MIDI controller that you could controlled FM synthesizers with basically almost like gloves, but it was a big thing that you wore. It was a suit. And Yamaha will go along and make the P55, the P56, the P57, the P58, very conservative digital pianos. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, you've got the Miburi or the Tenorion, or something like the Seek Track, which is not is just kind of something different. That's one of the advantages with being the largest musical instrument company in the world. Every once in a while, you get to take a little bit of risk.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that that story. Then, and thank you all of the participants. We have the next generation of inventors here. That's you guys, and the MIDI Innovation Awards is going to continue to support you and the next generations to come. So our next meeting, as far as I'm concerned anyway, is going to be the live stream or the event that will decide the 2024 winner. That's going to be in September, before Music China and Synthfest. So I hope you'll join us either as participants or as watching and helping the next generation to succeed. So thank you very much. I think we can stop there, and I'll see you very soon at one of the show. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, JB. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Alan.